Am I the asshole? For saying I will call social services if my Sil keeps leaving her child at my place? I have a half-brother, Enzo. We're not very close since we were both raised with our respective mothers, but he has always gone out of his way to help me with anything I've needed. Enzo married his wife Steph 2 years ago. Steph has a daughter, Alice, with her ex but has sole custody, and Enzo and Steph have a 7-month son Teddy. I also have a 3-year-old daughter. Enzo and Steph moved to the city I live in when Steph got pregnant, and since then, Steph developed a habit of showing up at my apartment building unannounced. It became a problem and I talked to both her and Enzo about it and she stopped, until she gave birth. Now, she regularly drops by unannounced to leave Alice at my building for babysitting while she has to run errands or something. She's had her carpool drop Alice off at my apartment before. My poor housekeeper is a wonderful woman who has had to deal with Alice arriving unexpectedly while I'm out and I feel terrible about it. I've told the concierge not to let her up and to say no one is in, but then I'll arrive to Alice waiting in the lobby, which is not safe, and the concierge has told me I can't make them responsible for a child. Steph keeps saying she only does it when she's desperate, but I don't see how she can be that desperate to run errands at least twice a week, and frankly I'm not a nanny. If she's desperate she needs to hire some help. I've spoken to Enzo and he is always extremely apologetic and says he will talk to her, and I believe he does, but he also works during the day and can't police where she is at all hours. I reached my breaking point a couple of days ago when I returned from lunch to find Alice at home, having been dropped off since she had a half day at school. I apologized profusely to my housekeeper who had spent time playing babysitter and called Steph. No answer. I called her several times, and then Enzo, who was on a business trip and distraught over the situation. Steph eventually turned up a couple of hours later and I went ballistic. I said if she ever leaves Alice at my building again I will call social services, and I will call them every single time she drops Alice off with me until they do something, because this is not my job and she is an irresponsible and neglectful parent. She burst into tears and begged me to help out with Alice, but I said no and reminded her I'd never said yes in the first place. She just kept dumping her kid here. Steph kept trying to guilt-trip me, but I was too exhausted and upset about the situation to be receptive, and eventually my husband had to tell her to leave. I feel bad because, as I said, Enzo has never been anything but the most accommodating person where I'm concerned, and maybe treating his wife like that was harsh, but at the same time I chose to have one kid because I don't want another one. Steph can't use my house as a daycare. Was I too harsh? Not the asshole. She's being careless and her daughter is going to end up getting hurt by her mother's actions. What happens when you're housekeeper and you aren't home and she ends up getting hurt or worse? Not the asshole. She may also flat out need to be told that you did not hire your housekeeper to watch her child. How unfair for her to be infringed on like that. Have you told her directly she is free to tell Sil that she is not babysitting? It's not what she's hired to do. Nata. I'm surprised the concierge didn't call the police for an abandoned child. Not the asshole. Do it. Steph is not entitled to your free services as a daycare. I also think it is kind of sus. Where is the other child during this, and why does she feel the need to get rid of Alice so often? Not the asshole. This woman is completely irresponsible. She did not hesitate to leave her child in the hall. It's horrible. Besides, based on your description, am I wrong to think that she is not working? If she doesn't change her way of doing things, ask for payment. You are not even less your housekeeper, unamused face, her free worker. Not the asshole. Call CPS every single time. Someone could take that child while she is abandoned in a building lobby for hours each time. Talking to your brother and her gets you nowhere. Do what you need to do. They were warned of the consequences you are prepared to give to their negligent actions. Sil should renegotiate her custody of Alice so that the bio dad has full custody. She clearly doesn't want to have her daughter with her, and she is causing irreparable harm to that child. She should also get checked to see if she isn't suffering from postpartum. The concierge has told me I can't make them responsible for a child. The concierge can call the police for an unattended child, too. You need to have a sit-down with Enzo and his wife, and talk to each other about the why, how, and what is okay and what isn't. Has a direct conversation like this with all of you happened yet? Not the asshole if Sil keeps leaving her child without making sure she is supervised and the supervising party is consenting to actually take care of the child. Not the asshole. Look, she is being completely irresponsible. You do not, under any circumstances, drop off or have a child dropped off at a place without clearing it first with the person you are dropping off the child to. And even after clearing it with the person, you personally escort them to the place until they're inside the